Hey, you're with your business editor and welcome to the Voice of Reason. And today's Voice of Reason would be Dr. Manjiri, the founder of Oncostem. And it's a cancer research company, and they've also got a product that fights cancer. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You know, so many of us have been hurt by cancer. It's a less understood disease. Most of us young people take it for granted. It can hit you. It hits you psychologically, socially, right?
Yes.
And that was the foundation of your company, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. So it was a really close association with cancer due to a friend coming down with cancer and then eventually dying due to it.
That was in
At a
2010,
young
11 or something
That
like
was around 2000, yeah, a little before that, yeah. And even a close cousin dying of breast
How
cancer.
did it happen? She had cancer, she got cured of it, and then had it recurring again in a few years.
Correct.
And she didn't know it would
and
happen.
she was diagnosed with early stage cancer, which is supposed to be less risky in terms of recurrence. But she still had risk of cancer recurred in multiple sites, liver, lung, bones.
And there's no way of telling.
Correct.
That's what Oncostem does for you. You know, once you get cured of the first stage, it can tell you with the tumor that they collect from you that whether this will reoccur again. So they use a lot of statistical modeling to predict the risk of cancer recurrence, right? So 2011 you started this.
Correct.
And these personal experiences led you to build this.
Right.
But you know, at that stage, biotech companies in India were very few.
Yes.
There was no support.
Correct.
And you had to do it all over yourself. How did you manage the first year, please?
Yeah, that was, I think, the hardest. There was really no support. I mean, at that time, raising funding was very hard. So many of my good friends told me, Manjiri, don't do this. So I said, no, but this is really what I want to do. So I approached actually multiple VCs and hospitals at the same time.
And you didn't know VCs at the time, right?
No,
you just walked in. Did you know that there was such a thing called VCs?
Only when you literally you are dumped into a well, you start swimming.
Correct.
I need to raise funding. Who can fund me? So angels and VCs. So I started talking to both of them, and multiple. So I just used to look for friends who might know VCs or Google searches, and used to write to them what my idea is about. And actually at that time, I must thank TIE Bangalore for really giving the opportunity to get mentored by them. And during one of these mentoring sessions, it so happened that the VCs who are funding me currently, Artiman Ventures, were in the audience. And they said, oh, we like your idea. How about we talk more? And it takes 6 months to actually, get any signed deal.
To convince, to get a term sheet and get something out.
And then get the money in.
And by the way, she's raised 10 million from Artiman Ventures and Sequoia now. Recently 6 million with Sequoia.
Yeah.
But the first year is never easy.
Yeah.
You burnt your own money. You were in Philips Research, a very cushy job.
Yes.
But something told you that you had to do this. Obviously, those personal experiences.
Correct. Yeah.
You went out, you found out it's not easy at all.
Yes.
So what were the trials and tribulations?
Yeah, so there were really many. When you think of doing something like this, you really have to look at every angle. You cannot just say, "Oh, I got the funding, but where is the space to run a lab?" And for a product-driven companies like ours, you need a laboratory infrastructure. You need close associations with the hospitals to work with, and getting all of those done without being a medical doctor was the toughest part. Convince doctors that look, I'm really serious about doing this. The only way I think we've achieved so far and what we have come up to is really continuous follow-up with the doctors and show the real intent that you really want to do this to make a difference in the lives of patients, and show honesty, show the integrity, show dedication to science, and actually really look at everything in depth.
I want to talk about this product to tell our audience why it's so difficult to build a product company in India. It's not always about revenues. It's also about the idea, the experience that she has as a doctor. By the way, she's a PhD. She's not a medical doctor. But to get into this profession and to break into it was harder. She's got 300 clinicians who offer this product. Doctor, you want to tell us what it does?
Sure.
It's called CanAssist. This is for breast cancer, right?
This is for breast cancer.
Prediction of risk of occurrence.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
Can you tell us what it does?
Sure, yeah. So CanAssist-Breast is our flagship product which predicts the risk of cancer recurrence to patients who are diagnosed with early stage hormone-positive breast cancer. This is, in short, the test predicts whether which patient is likely to have the recurrence within 5 years or has low risk or high risk of cancer recurrence, and based on that the chemotherapy part of the treatment can be planned in a very meaningful way to the patient. This shows an example of our sample collection kit. This test is offered as a single lab based service from our central lab here in Bangalore. So this is a sample collection kit. So this is sent to, this can be collected from doctor's office by the patients.
By the way, this is where the
Yes,
tumor is collected. So by the way, after you can choose that the hospital can cut out the tumor
Correct.
for your loved ones if they're suffering from it, and God forbid, and then it comes here, it comes to your lab,
Correct.
where you do a lot of statistical analysis to predict whether it occurs again, even the closest possible chance, right?
Correct, exactly.
And there are 3 models for this, right? People
Yes.
can sign up.
Correct.
Right, and there's a hospital model where you can tell the hospital that I want to give it to Oncostem.
Correct.
There's a model where I can contact a distributor. And there's a direct model. Right. All 3 are very popular for you today, or what do you want to focus on?
Yeah, so we launched the test commercially a year and a half ago. Now almost 2 years though. So we are trying to focus on all the 3 modes of getting to know patients and really touching the lives of patients. So we work with 2 big distributors, SRL and Lalpath Labs, and the hospitals. We have many direct types with hospitals, so the patient can even typically the tumor
What do you
blocks,
call that?
This is called formalin fixed paraffin embedded tumor block.
Okay, it's a tumor block. Where the tumor is collected and stored.
Correct, collect and store, and it's collected in wax and it's stable. So this tumor sample can be put into this box. And shipped to us at room temperature, and then we run a test on this sample in our lab, and then predict using a machine learning based algorithm, which
it's interesting, right? Did you want to do machine learning from the beginning?
No, actually, many things in the startup world are really, they evolve with time. So I didn't. You can't think that far ahead. So I knew I want to develop a test, but which statistical model do we use? Actually, played around with multiple models. We played with Cox regression based, etc. And then we've narrowed down on machine learning based, because it is really the most clever model and learns from the experience. So
for you ladies watching out there, I mean, there is a light in the end of the tunnel if you provided you work hard, right? She's an inspiration, because she didn't know doctors, she didn't know hospitals, she didn't know VCs. You had to get statisticians, you had to get machine learning experts, which is completely out of your expertise, right? How did you do it, Manjiri?
I think I actually touched every friend I knew, and really every friend must have introduced me to 10 different friends, and I really, the one thing I should not, there's a statistician somebody knows somewhere, I would write to them. And actually people really respond to you if you show intent. And our statistician is based in the US, and it so happens that even some of our VCs now ask me for statisticians in the US, because I contacted so many to really assess them and finally get hold of a really good statistician
product like this. By the way, this product costs not more than 60,000, whereas if you went to the US and got this service done, it could be around 3 lakhs or more. She's brought down the cost significantly. It includes a hospital. Hospitals can bill it to patients also straight away, right?
Correct.
So it includes all those costs, including the cost of machine learning experts. It's so expensive.
Correct.
It's all built onto the product price, right? And this is for the real India, and this is why making revenues in such a business takes such a long time. You need patient capital. And I'm glad that when you went to the funds, you said this, right? And they got the idea.
So that it's really essential to find venture capitalists who are really patient with, because most of the VCs are used to non-biotech firms, which are really, they bring in revenues very quickly, and in all life science product-driven companies where we did not do any service to bring in any revenue for these 6 years, it's been very kind of the VCs to be so patient to wait for revenues to ring in, and which
you come across as a very articulate person. Is that what the VCs liked, and that you were not confused or running around saying what you really wanted, that you articulated on what exactly you want to solve? Because it would have started with a lab kind of a model, that I need a lab where I'll test in my lab and then predict.
Correct.
But then it morphed into this product, right? So did they get that?
So they actually asked really good questions, and they really went to the basics. So it was very useful in many ways to really to explain to them. You come up with many clear ideas, and articulating them in clear, simple words what I want to do is essential.
It's very essential for an entrepreneur to do.
Absolutely.
Okay. Whether anybody who said that this won't work in India, and that did it let you down, because eventually you had to raise money, and because you were burning your own money for the first 1.5 years?
No, just about 6 months.
6 months, and you were lucky to get the first investment very soon. That was about 3-4 million, right?
About 3 million.
3 million at that time. Would you say you're lucky, or would you say that you were persistent?
I would also say I'm lucky. Yeah,
Okay.
persistence. Yes, definitely. Without persistence, you can't even cross a street today.
Yes.
But I was really lucky as well. I mean, finding the right VCs, and because there are very few VCs who really fund you at that early stage. When then they asked me, okay, where is your product? And I said, my product is only idea today. I don't have any product demo or anything. It's an idea. So it was. You really have to be lucky also to find the right match for the VCs.
Okay.
Yes, but persistence pays.
Very good. And how do you communicate this idea?
So we actually, although the test is performed on patients' tumor samples, so the business model is B2B in terms of business to business hospitals, but eventually it's to the consumer who is patient. Now this test is recommended by clinicians, by medical oncologists, surgical oncologists, and or radiation oncologists. So we need to inform them about the product.
Okay.
So we talk in every big conference on cancer. We give CME presentations, we present in every different hospitals to make the clinicians aware of this product, and we are also reaching out to patients in patient awareness programs
And doctor, you're saying that chemotherapy is also a killer.
Yes.
That even after the operation of stage 1, chemotherapy can kill you.
Correct.
So, but you will actually go tell the doctor with your research that the patient doesn't need chemo, right?
Correct.
Why is this so? I mean, not many ask the doctor about the ill effects. You want to tell us about this?
Sure, yeah. So there's this cancer, the word itself generates a lot of fear in a patient, in a person, and everybody wants to do everything that they can to prevent the recurrence. But what they don't realize is just because you take chemotherapy doesn't always mean you will have no recurrence. In early stages, actually the risk of recurrence is very little. So it's really important that the doctor explains to the patient, and the patient also does his or her own reading, and to come to the conclusion that I may not need chemotherapy because I'm in early stage. I have an early stage disease, and based on that the patient's treatment can be planned. And we have many case studies where this is how the test is useful. Like, we had a case, the lady was young, she had just married, wanted to conceive, and was diagnosed with breast cancer.
That's horrible. Yes.
Yeah, and at that time, if she were to take her chemotherapy and then continue with the additional 5 years of therapy, it would have been harder for her to conceive. She would be 7 years later.
Very scary.
Yeah, so when this test was performed, the doctor realized that she has low risk of cancer recurrence, and he said, you go ahead with your, the child rearing plans. And so it was useful in that way that she was spared of chemotherapy, and actually she even conceived.
But she had the tumor removed and she was safe.
She had the tumor removed. She had the delivery, and then
please tell our audience that cancer, when it happens, right? I mean, obviously when they figure out the stage, that they can ask for services like this.
Correct.
They should ask for services like this.
Yes.
They shouldn't panic. Most of the time we think about two things. Firstly is finding the right doctor for this. Secondly, we only worry about insurance, the payment.
Correct.
We don't know that there are tools like this that can actually save your loved ones, right?
Correct.
And for you, educating the patient is the difficult task today.
Right.
And do you leave it to hospitals, or are you spending a lot of money and time on this?
Yeah, so educating patient is harder because to get to patient outreach groups is difficult here. But we are really making every effort to talk about this even in articles in newspapers and other means, and reach out to patient outreach programs via hospitals, and so that they are aware of the product and the usefulness of the same.
So have your clinicians, 300 people who have signed up with you, are they very helpful? Are they promoting it? You've done 300 tests in the last 1 year?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years?
Yeah.
And it's only going to increase, right?
Correct.
So is the ecosystem helping you?
Yes, so the hospital, the doctors who have prescribed this test in the past and have seen their patients really responding well to the outcome of the test, they actually do prescribe it to other clinicians. They talk in their fraternity, they spread the word via WhatsApp groups and talk about this test to other patients and other clinicians also. So they are also in turn helping to spread the word.
Why have you limited this only to breast cancer today?
Good question. No, we have not limited to breast cancer. The first test is for one part of breast cancer, one majority of breast cancers. The second is for the triple negative breast cancers, which is a more aggressive form. And the next focus will be oral cancer, followed by colon.
Should all of us get checked time and again for these kind of things, ailments?
So this is not a screening test, but once you are diagnosed with the disease, then if you really fall in the right category of the stage of the disease and hormone mapping. Definitely every patient should go through this.
Do you see insurance companies tying up with you?
Yeah. So the way insurance works in India is
it's not like the West, obviously.
Exactly.
Yes.
It is very different. But there are patients who have told us that insurance has covered this. So all that insurance companies ask for is a letter of recommendation from the clinician saying this test will be performed on this and how it will be helpful.
So there you go, guys. If you ever buy such a test, get a letter from your clinician who will probably get the money reimbursed as well.
And we have a format. So.
Okay, you have a format.
Yes.
So why can't you work directly with insurance companies where once I get the treatment in the hospital, the insurance company reimburses immediately?
Absolutely. We are really trying to reach out to insurance companies and we really hope to get there where the insurance companies knows about this and they will recommend also that why don't you get this test done before you take chemotherapy.
That's true. Now the harder questions. You're a product company. We all know product companies take time. Yes. You're also an R&D company. But VC money in India is maximum can go up to 7 years. At some point of time, you have to start generating revenues. Do you have a business plan in mind?
Yes, so our first business model was, first market was India, and in medical world you really have to have all the accreditations to really launch anything. So we have the European approval CE-IVD and ISO 13485, and for the lab also we have getting US accreditations as well. We have Enable accredited lab and we are working with US CAP. So with these accreditations, first market was India, which we have done. Near India countries we have entered Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. And next is we are going to enter Asian markets, followed by Middle East and Europe and then US.
But this product is also manufactured in Singapore, you said, right?
Yeah, so this particular box was made in Singapore. But for all the Asian markets, we plan to use, planning to have a lab in Singapore and that lab would serve the Asian markets and Middle East market would be served by India or Singapore.
So they take the test, send it to India, ship it to India, or would it be done locally?
The Asian markets will be done in Singapore.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And near India will be, the tumors can be shipped. They can be shipped from US to here also.
And the labs are expensive?
No, the labs can be, so the whole process of using this tumor block, which is stored at room temperature, and the technique we use, which is proteomic based, is actually very cost effective. So even the lab, having the lab setup will not be very expensive.
Okay, and so you're saying that we can see you become a valuable company regardless of the revenues, purely because of the IP in a few years?
Yes. So we have absolutely. We have a patent filed. First patent is granted in multiple jurisdictions. Second patent would be is through halfway. So yes, the IP is really core of any research company, research product driven companies. Correct. And we are not any different. Yes.
So you're going to work harder at that. And how big is your team today?
Today we are 20 people. And we started really getting sales and marketing people only very recently. From this year, really with good focus. So we are about 6 sales and marketing, and the rest are all scientists or pathologists
and data scientists.
Okay. Yeah, data scientists.
Okay, can we go to audience questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Chinmay Kumar Chowdhury who says, do you communicate with your patients by email or with an electronic health record system?
We send the report. Oh, I forgot to mention. This is our report. So after the tumor is tested, we give the report out this way. We say the exact risk of cancer recurrence to 3%. The patient, and
so 3% is okay.
3% under 9% is okay. Low risk. Okay. Yes.
So this is the kind of report that I get.
Yes.
So and it also goes into the electronic health record.
We send it as an email attachment to directly to the patient or to the distributor or to the treating doctor.
Eventually, you're collecting so much data. What do you want to do with it?
So actually that's a very good question. So machine learning based, we can always improve the test based on our own data. So we really, we want to also take a prospective study underway, and then all this data that we will collect over 5 years, we will use it to improve this test. 5 years later, maybe another version of it or something, or maybe
another version, or you will probably have an entire population set. And you can predict population based on demography, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, look forward to that though.
Sure.
And Anish Sunnu says, in a country like India with a huge population in the rural segment, how do you plan to reach women in these areas who don't live in obviously large cities?
Yeah, so in the first phase we are only reaching out to big cities and bigger chain of hospitals, but we do want to get into every little hospital and every little city in India, and we plan to, that's why we have India-wide distributors who have really good reach, and we don't have to build our own sales team for that.
You have to understand that the product itself has taken them 3-4 years to build.
6 years.
6 years to build, and they're just about going to the market.
Yes.
So I think some more time. But you have a rural strategy?
I mean, the distributor should be able to help us to get into the rural strategy.
So you'll have a distributor set up also?
We already have.
How many distributors?
Yeah, we have 2 big distributors. We are still talking to a couple more. And the distributors really have a lot of salespeople and soldiers on the ground.
Okay, their feet on street. So that will solve it.
They would help.
Okay, and I hope the government also does some work with you.
Yes, so we really hope to get good support from the government, especially ICMR, if they can include this test in the guidelines, and that will iron out issues further.
I hope somebody from the government is watching that and heard that. The next question is again from Chinmay, who says, what treatment options are typically available in this?
So every cancer patient, irrespective of stage, will have a primary surgery to remove the tumor, followed by radiation, chemotherapy, and targeted drugs. So these 3 treatments besides surgery are really dependent on the stage of the tumor. So radiation depends on the surgery type, and chemotherapy really depends on the stage of the tumor, whether you will benefit or not. That analysis can be done before
by this. Okay.
And then
okay. This might be a difficult question for you, but are there side effects with each treatment? And what options do I get to know that there are side effects to this test or something? There are no side effects.
So no, test is because test is performed on a tumor that is removed from the body. There is no side effect of the test.
Okay, but once the treatment of the chemo is done, how do you address wrong treatment or false negatives as they call it?
So if the chemotherapy is given and the tumor does not shrink, because chemotherapy typically is given so the tumor becomes smaller in size, it kills the cells. But when the doctors do another X-ray analysis, PET CT analysis after the cycles, if the tumor is not shrinking, that means the chemotherapy hasn't worked.
Okay. Yeah. The next question is from Arish. He says, is there a product called CanAssist-Breast? The only product that is it the only product that Oncostem Diagnostics has today?
Today, yes, and we also one other thing which is not a product as such, but we do is breast cancer biomarker panel testing, which are the basic.
What's a biomarker testing?
So basically, once you have a tumor removed from the body, you need to understand the tumor biology in little bit detail.
Okay.
So for different cancers, there are different proteins, biomarkers that are present. So those are analyzed in our lab for breast cancers also.
Okay.
So there are basic 4 biomarker panel, ERPR, HER2 and Ki67. Okay. So those are also tested in our lab, followed by this test.
What other product tests do you have or products do you have?
No, apart from this, we don't do any other products. Not yet. But
okay.
we are planning to do oral cancer in a couple of years.
You have to tell us what is the incidence of cancer in this country? How many people get it?
It's very large, and so 150,000 women get diagnosed with breast cancer alone per year, and these numbers are highly underreported. So, and out of this, about 50% fall in the stages for which CanAssist-Breast is applicable. So, about our target population is about 60 to 75,000 women.
Okay.
Who can actually get this test done and then plan the treatment based on
What about women self-help groups, helping promote this product?
Yes,
I know there's a lot of news around Niramai and their software, which is great for the ecosystem.
Yes.
Is there a case for NGOs to latch on to this, or CSR programs of corporate to take on to this?
Yeah, actually we are talking to a couple of companies for their CSR programs to really reach out, and there are also foundations who come to us and say, we have patient outreach programs, maybe we can talk about your test, and they support the cancer patients for yoga and everything else. So.
Interesting. What next for Oncostem? So more money being raised, which is always good for research.
More money. Yeah, we want to completely automate the test as well. So that's our next goal, is to completely automate it end to end. So currently the test is performed automated manner, but it is graded by pathologists. So if we can automate that part, then it can be just shipped to, this can be as a kit shipped to perform the test in separate hospitals. And that way we can focus more on additional test development.
So as soon as the tumor is removed, it gets analyzed there and then and there.
Right, exactly.
Okay, you're building those kind of products,
So
okay, and that's faster.
If it is automated, it's just that the decision can be made by the hospital quickly.
Then and there. So today, is there a 2-week lag?
It's a 10 days. I mean, it's still by the time patient is recovering from the surgery, but still. the sample needs to be shipped to us. So if this can be done at their end, then it will be even there will be more acceptance, there will be more willingness.
What do women often ignore the effects of breast cancer? Do they have to get it screened early?
Yes.
Do they live in denial?
Absolutely, all of the above. So we have done so many case studies, and where women have had the tumor for 6 months, 8 months, and then they haven't come because it didn't pain much. I knew it, but
interesting.
Sad. And it's really sad. And some of them, it's also fear of my daughter not getting married or anything, the societal pressures, and just. It's really
social.
Unfortunate. It's a
so
lot
go
of
out there and get yourself checked. Even men can get breast cancers, by the way. Those of you watching it, and you've been lovely, Dr. Manjiri.
Thank
and
you.
I'll host you again soon. Thank you for being here. There you go. She's your voice of reason today, and we'll see you all on Monday. Have a great weekend.